Following Daniel's first meet-up for retraining in the morning, and quite nice weather until a wee bit showers come on, it's been a day of driving around Fife and delivering bottles of whisky, etc. Finally meeting up with Rob in the evening just to get one flight, possibly two if we'd arrived earlier, one flight to East Lomond. By the time we'd done the whole flight landing and retrieve back up to the car park, there was just a tiny bit of rain coming down. Had about half an hour of daylight, but wasn't worth the bother to go back up. Common issue we see with club pilot trained pilots launching is holding too much haze and not using enough of the harness, and what you end up, particularly in these light wind and with the slightly off to pilot's right, longer grass and the shape of the hill here with the transition, you get a sort of sheltered area so you don't have that energy low down. So looking at the wing, generally bad thing. Once it's clear of the ground you want to be looking at the ground, checking around your airspace, all that sort of stuff. But here, what little breeze there is at this time of year is killed effectively. You can't really use it for the wing because of this long grass. So the second it's going slightly wrong, just lift up, carry back, reset, get it in the best area. So Rob's just cleaned out the lines, stepping back, rechecking all the controls, tactile, visual, audio checks, checking the airspace, setting up the camera at the moment, and that's much better. That's slower but still not quite enough steps, so when it steps forward now, if you stand still and you've got the A's in your hands, you get that typical closing over. So it's that extra half step once the wings touch down. You don't want it to backdraft, you don't want to overstep it, you've got to be reading the harness, riser's wing, rather than any visual cue. If you're using visual cues, you're too late. As you can see here, right at the top of the slope, with me stepped in to assist, there's actually quite nice airflow. And just smooth, smooth, smooth. Ideally stepping the wrong way and then going along the top, so about 10-15 feet to the right would have been better, but this is fine. Good loud call of launching, there's a path there, and sometimes you get folks coming up on the other side as well. So steeper rocky slopes, you don't want to suddenly, ooh, there's a paraglider, you want to let folks have plenty of warning. So we'd previously discussed all the landing options. The plan here was a big downwind around the lee side of the hill, which is quite suitable in these conditions, to one of the fields that you can see just above and to the left of the village of Falkland. Then from the hilltop I'm just assessing and giving him little corrections. So there it looked like he was flying straight to it, so I've told him to do a gentle left. He's done too much, so it's just slightly over correcting, so correcting back. Again, there you could see the left hand on the riser is a bad idea. So sometimes folks do that when they want to turn around and stuff, but realistically you shouldn't have your hand on the rear riser, certainly not in a normally designed glider. But you can see it was only for a second or so. The general looking around and checking is fine. Usually advise lower airtime pilots to fly with the back of their hand towards the risers, so there's no tendency to grip. And again, looking down, checking is all good. So at this point you should be looking for the discussed landing field, which is a sort of darker green, almost triangular shape with the high point of the triangle to the left, and we're aiming for the top right hand corner. Now there's a line of woods, just line of trees along the side of the road, and effectively it's the top right hand corner which we're aiming for. So what you want to do is you want to be looking at that top point and then look at something in the far distance, and like leading lights used to get ships into the harbour, you're assessing your drift and you're doing little corrections. Also, as you're flying along, you're looking for bailout options, so if you don't make it that far or if you're going further, what are your alternatives? One of the things is, while you've got the height, you're looking down on the plan. When you're looking on a plan, it's fairly easy to work out your egress. So if you land somewhere, you need to know how you're going to walk back to a good visual reference point. So, well, I'm walking towards this building, it's very distinct, it's high. I'm walking towards this shaped field, I'm walking towards the road, so people know where you are. Okay, so the field with the small notch out of it, the small, again, watch for holding onto the risers. That's the tennis field, so there's the tennis courts down there. You're also looking for the power lines where they run across the fields. And listening for any messages coming in your phone as well. So we've got a number of authorised landing fields here. Now we're coming over to the main landing field, and there's plenty of height here. So what Rob should have done is, in the middle of this field, not too distinct on the camera, but clear of the sheep, there's a slightly worn in the ground arc, and there's a red feeder. Essentially you want to fly over that and then start flying squared off 360 blocks, so an aviation pattern to lose height. The reason for the squared off is you want to be flying for a few seconds in a straight line, a few seconds in a straight line, a few seconds in a straight line, and at each side of that block you're assessing your drift. So for instance, again holding the risers, so if you're coming down lower and the wind can be stronger lower down, what you don't want to be doing is getting blown backwards into the field with crops or in the lee side of the trees. So here you want a nice straight line, assess the drift left or right, and that gives you the hemisphere that the wind's coming from. Your next 90-degree turn, again assessing it, gives you it down to a quarter. So you can really assess. Ideally, with an easy exit from the field over a small wooden bridge, we want that top corner. There you can see he's actually over the road to the other side. Now with no sun, so no distinct shadow, and I'm giving instructions from the top of the hill, it's difficult for me to assess exactly where he is. And that's more one continuous turn rather than doing the squared off pattern for landing. Okay, now listen for the squeak of the brakes. There. So still too high, should be keeping the speed on, keep the speed on, keep the speed on, and only now a gentle progressive flare. And then instead of the further run forward, you can almost dead stop and the wings slightly shot over. But still nice landing, and no crops damaged, no stock spooked, so we're okay there, but it would have been better up in the top corner.